What's up, everybody? Hope you enjoyed that first segment. It was my first one. Me and Olivia got along real good. I mean, we recorded tomorrow, so I'm sure it was good. When you get one Greek, sometimes you get two. So you got two for the price of one. One who's a little more unknown than me, up-and-coming actor, really just had a big piece written about him in the Los Angeles Times.
Yeah.
Very bright future ahead. If you never heard him, I think I pronounced it John Stamos. Or Stamos. John Stamos, young man. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I really would rather talk to Olivia now.
Yeah.
Hi, Olivia. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Thank you guys.
I wish we would have done it before you hired him because I think, so this is your first show, Giannis, with her?
This is my first show. This is my first show with Olivia, and you're crashing it. You know, you're kind of like third wheeling right now.
You've actually made her prettier. Which is hard, but the two shot of you guys, she even looks more beautiful. And I know she's super smart, so I'm not just taking it down to that. But just next to Giannis, you shine.
No, I'm going to tell my producer to go ahead and cut that clip because I can retire on that. Thank you very much. I was going to say, for the first time ever, I think I have the third best hair in this show. That has not happened.
Yeah, no, Greeks, we have good genes. That's the thing. We put olive oil on everything. That's the secret.
That's the secret.
I bathe in the Greek yogurt and I drink Rob Lowe's blood. So that's been helpful. But
that keeps you young. That keeps you young from what I understand.
I can't wait to do this podcast with you. And I know it's a sports show, and I maybe you know that I know very, very, very little about sports. One of my best friends, Roger Lodge, is a huge fan of your dad's. I think he's been on the show.
Wow.
And he just went on and on about your dad, and your grandfather's a famous sports guy, right?
Yeah.
And he said you were a very nice person. I think he watches one of your things. But I'm very happy to be on here, and I joke with Giannis, he is one of the most, no bullshit here. I've sort of discovered him about 6 months ago, maybe. I don't know why he missed my radar, but I watched this guy go, who is this guy? He's the funniest fucking guy I've ever, he's like a Greek Robin Williams. And I mean that in the sense that he's hairier than Robin, not funnier, but I just love him. We become friends, and we have the Greek thing, and I'm grateful that I get to be on his first episode, but hopefully you'll do most of the talking, Olivia.
Well, I knew you weren't much of a sports guy when before we started taping, I said I had interviewed the Greek Freak, and that was easier than getting us all on this Zoom. And you said, Who's the Greek Freak? Tell me you know who that is.
I'm not making jokes. I honestly don't. Who is it? Is it the guy from Hangover, the heavyset guy?
No, it's Bob Costas.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I do. Oh no,
for his off-air on. I'm just kidding. He's probably the best basketball player in the world right now. MVP of the league
last year. Mm-hmm.
Last year, and
Olivia.
His name is Giannis Antetokounmpo, Milwaukee Buck.
Got it. Dan, you're not married to him.
No.
But your husband is a basketball player.
He is, yes, and he's in the other room, and he's very jealous right now.
Yeah, he set up a baby monitor just to watch her to see if she smiles too much.
Lock the door.
Yeah. Now, serious question for you, John. I was curious, with all you've accomplished in 4 decades in the industry, do you get sick of like the heartthrob title? Because I tell you what, just telling my girlfriends and even women in their 60s that you were coming on the show today, they become googly-eyed teenagers.
Yeah, not one bit. My whole life, I remember, up until I became famous, I want to be famous. I wanted to be famous for all the wrong reasons. I wanted to get girls. I wanted to sign autographs. I wanted, later I developed a love for the art, but I wanted to be famous. And everybody says, oh, don't you hate being famous? Nope.
No. It's as good as everyone thinks.
If you handle it right, if you keep your head on, unlike, the other Greek on this thing, but if you keep a level-headed thing about you. My father was great, and Giannis and I always talk about our dads who are both have passed away, and they're having an affair in heaven, I heard. But
and they're in the Greek town in heaven. There's a Greek town for them, yeah.
But my dad kept me humble. He really, a friend of mine recently said, it was so funny, a friend who knew me he said, I was talking to your dad once, and I said to your dad, I said, man, now Johnny's famous, he could get any girl he wants. And he said, my dad said, well, not any girl. It was always that. It was always just that. I'd come home from doing a car show or doing something, where I had thousands of people screaming, and he'd say, and I lived at home until I was about 24, 25. He said, hey, how'd it go? Great. Go clean the dog poop in the backyard. I said, Dad, get back there. So I think trying to, and I haven't had it my whole career, but I think trying to keep a level of humility has been good about it. Is the best part about it. Or you said, what's the good thing about fame? There's a lot of good, but you got to keep it, cool. Cut me off anytime, Giannis. You're a call.
I was letting you go. I was letting you go. I thought you were about to start a Shakespearean monologue, and I wanted to hear it.
Right. Have you guys watched the show? Olivia, have you seen any of the show?
Well, that's what I was about to say to Olivia. Funny story. So John, he sent me the link for the show. And the only reason I watched it at the beginning was because it was a free Disney Plus password. So I was like, cool, I get Disney Plus for free. But I lie to you not, I watched the show and I got hooked on it. And I'm almost done. I'm not done yet. I've watched about 6 episodes. Your daughter has moved in with you. John plays Marvin Korn, who's sort of like a Bobby Knight type, who comes in as a disgraced Division I basketball coach and if I remember the scene correctly, which I was surprised by, you threw a chair and hit the person in the face with the chair, which is very not Disney. So I was surprised.
Not very Disney. No, I hit him in the back, I think, but that got me kicked out of the NCAA, and I go to the only job I could get really is coaching an all girls private high school in Laguna, which is a bougie neighborhood over here.
Yeah, so he plays this coach, very Bobby Knight like, very stubborn, hard nosed, and he comes in and he teaches these girls how to win. And the most surprising thing about it is how much I believe that you knew something about basketball. And then I talked to you, and you told me how many field goals does it take to win a basketball game. Well, I thought I was talking to my wife.
Did you have you got a chance to see it, Olivia?
I have not, but it is on deck on my Disney Plus. We're getting new TVs, and I tell you what, getting all the apps downloaded, and you saw just how we were trying to get on Zoom. That's the hardest part. But I'm looking forward.
Folks out there listening, these are rich white people problems.
But you know what? I like Disney's strategy. You put John Stamos in a basketball movie. What better way to attract more female fans to basketball than throwing Stamos into a basketball drama?
Right. I joke a little about all this stuff, but I think David Kelly's the writer, and he's an absolute genius. His father was a hockey coach, so he understood the world a little bit, and we did the pilot for this almost 2 years ago, and little did we know that when it was going to be released that women's basketball would be in the headlines about inequality, which was terrible, and men versus women and pay, and also the pandemic. I mean, who knew that people would need an optimistic, positive show like this? So the timing was good. It's turned out to be a really special show, and I just said it seems like a good gig, and I love David Kelly. When they called me, they said, hey, you're going to get an offer on the new David Kelly show. I said, oh my God, David Kelly, is it the new? He was doing Big Little Lies at the time. And,
okay. I knew that name. Yeah.
Oh, he's a very, very prolific, maybe one of the greatest genius writers. I mean, he was big in the old days with Ally McBeal and The Practice and all those shows.
Wow.
But he lately has done Big Little Lies. What's the one with Hugh Grant that was just on?
The Undoing.
Yes.
Oof.
But
that's dark.
Thank you for saving me on that. I don't know one Hugh Grant movie. So,
well, and so I was like, yes, I'm in. What's it about? And they said basketball. I was like, oh no. For those of you out there that don't know me, God has been gave me a lot of really nice attributes and gifts. Athleticism was not one of them. I was a band geek in school. I'm a band geek now. My dad was into sports. I didn't understand it. So it was a big challenge, and I make jokes about it. But I really did work hard because out of respect. Oh, first of all, in the very first scene, if you watch, I'm coaching a college team, and that's when I throw the chair, as Johnny said. But if I didn't pull that scene off, then we have no show, we're no series. And I was really nervous about playing a coach because it just was not in my DNA.
Yeah, how do you prepare? Who do you look at?
Well, I watched a lot of tape. And I love this Bobby Knight. Boy, what a character!
You make him sound like he's just someone like you just found. Like, he's one of the most famous coaches in any sport of all time.
I do, but I just found him. I could name
this Bobby Knight.
Some actors. Yeah, he was really, not only, obviously I realized what a great coach he was, but man, that guy has an incredible sense of humor, doesn't he? I'm sure does your dad know him or
my dad would. I got in the business after he retired. Yeah.
Bobby Knight, yeah. So he I watched a lot of his tapes. I've read a lot of books. John Wooden, I quote in there quite a bit. And a friend of mine said, well, I know Jerry West. Maybe I could hook you guys up. And I said, who?
Oh, God. No.
I didn't know him, to be honest with you. And
he's the logo. He's the NBA logo.
I learned that. And then my friend who I talked about earlier, Roger Lodge, he's a huge, sports fan. He knows everything. So I took him, thankfully. But I went up to the place and I said, hey, Mr. West, thank you for letting me come to the rehearsal today. First of all, it's not called rehearsal. It's called
yeah.
Those aren't costumes. Those are outfits. But I spent the day there, and really nice guy, Lauren. It was Clippers practice, and I thought, since I'm playing a college coach, that the Clippers were a college team. They're not. Really
you live in LA. You could have gone to USC, UCLA. You could have gone anywhere.
Well, I did. I ended up going around and stuff. But Jerry West was so kind and great, and I talked to him quite a bit. And he, I think we sent it to you. He was on some talk shows recently. He was talking about me. Maybe if you have that clip, you can put it in later. But he said I was believable.
You were very believable. It was actually very shocking. Did they approach you because of the Full House episode? I think it was called, what was it, Air Jesse, where you learn how to play basketball and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar teaches you your sweet spot and you hit the game winner. Funny episode, very unrealistic, but funny.
Unrealistic?
No way you hit that shot. There's no way you hit that shot.
That was my sweet spot, wasn't it?
That was your sweet spot, yeah. Right in the sweet spot.
Did you see that? Did you watch Full House?
I watched every episode of Full House. I'm a 90s kid.
Yeah.
Did you remember that episode? Yeah, Kareem Abdul. I was terrible, and I said, let's just make Jesse terrible. And then I did. I had to play basketball on ER, terrible. And I had to do it on something else, bad. So I actually had an easier time memorizing medical lingo than the sports stuff.
And I've heard a lot of doctor shows, they just ad lib some of the medical lingo. Is that true?
I don't think. Well,
or does it have to be accurate?
It's pretty accurate. ER was very, very specific. We had 3 doctors on the set saying, "Hold the needle this way, do this," and say everything.
Wow.
But we had some good technical. I mean, I had couple of the writers were basketball players and coaches. I had this Roger Lodge with me all the time. There was another a girl with us who worked with our girls. Keela Snowden, her name is. She was I think a college player. So we try to keep it as legit as possible. I really worked hard on all of it. I made sure that the dialogue. Giannis was just saying he believed something, one of the scenes, and I had a bunch of coaches on speed dial, but mainly Roger Lodge helped me with a lot of it.
I'm looking forward to watching with my husband, because anytime we watch a basketball movie, he cringes because he's like, they're so awkward. A practice would never look like this, sound like this, everything. So when I watch with him tonight, which we will get the app downloaded, I'll be sure to let you know if he gives his approval, because I think you just need an actual player to say, yeah, I believe it.
Well, is Jerry West an actual player?
Yeah,
he sure is.
Yeah, he was quite a good one.
What Jerry responded to, which was what I hoped he would, was that it's not about, I mean, yes, I got to be a good coach and I have to tell them the right things, obviously, but his mentality was right. And Jerry said that, he said, it's the same thing for girls and or boys, although my character gets in trouble because I come in right off of, being a college coach and I fat shame the girls and I say all the wrong things, but
that doesn't sound very Disney either.
Yeah, well,
right. That's why when you watch a show, it's a little surprising because it's I was like, it's going to be a typical Disney show, but it's a really good story, and it has some of the issues that are currently in the zeitgeist are in the show, and that being one of them. Like, he comes in and he yells at them, and they're like very sensitive, like Gen Z is, and so they have to find common ground.
Yeah, and it looks like it's interesting. I can't remember the woman's name, and my press agent begs me not to say anything about it. But early on, before the show came out, there was an article in, I believe, the Chicago Times, just hammering us. She hadn't seen the show, she hadn't seen the promo, she hasn't, this man fall from grace, and he's got to go in, and he teaches the girls, blah blah blah, and it was none of that, right? And it was upsetting because she hadn't seen the show, and she really sort of bashed it. It was the first thing, and the girls were so upset. I said, let's just wait. And then when it came out, it was glowing reviews and the opposite of what this person had said, which was, I learned more from them. I'm a flawed guy. He's a guy who doesn't, he doesn't know how to communicate. He doesn't know how to be. He doesn't have friends. He sees the girls as X's and O's. He says, and then of course, by the end of the series, by the end of the second or third episode, you see the guy coming around, and he cares more about the girls and their personalities and their lives than he does about basketball.
Oh, it's a great story. I can't wait to watch. It's going to be really good. I've got to bring you back for a second. You mentioned the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar episode of Full House. And then I can't believe you asked me if I had watched Full House. I just don't think anyone didn't. My favorite episode, and I'm dying to know what your favorite episode to film. Maybe there's a funny behind the scenes story or something that we don't know. My favorite episode is the Disney World episode. I think that's a lot of people's favorites.
Oh yeah, that's funny because I was almost gonna I was going to make some jokes, but then I was going to be serious. What was beautiful about that was that I got to bring my whole family to Disney World. It was the last time. My dad died after that. My mom's passed away. So it was this, this great moment of having, my whole family at a Disney park. My dad didn't love, parks that much. I'm sure. I don't know how your dad was, but amusement parks.
No, that's more of a young guy's game, young kids game. I get I get nauseous. I tried to go back to Great Adventure as an adult, and it's just not the same.
No, it's like hot, sticky. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not. I'm like, look, I don't want to be scared.
I had we had a good time with everybody. I spent many years trying to get away from that show and that character, and then I just gave up after a while because it wasn't going away. And then I embraced it because I know that it was important to a lot of people, and it meant a lot. And it provided a decent, a great life for me, a great life for my family. I got to bring my family around, and it gave me fame, which I was trying to get. Obviously, I told you about it. But it took me a while to gain a little legitimacy. I sort of gave up on trying to get it because you look desperate if you do. I was Yanni said they wrote this article in the calendar section last week, and I was like, I can't believe, I've been waiting for this my whole career. But I did give up. I'd done like 5th Broadway show or 6th, and I was working with James Earl Jones, hands down, one of the greatest living actors of all time. And I'm on stage with him for 3 hours, and it was a Gore Vidal play called Best Man. And I would go standing ovations, all thing, and I walk out to sign autographs. Uncle Jesse, they have mercy. Yeah. I'm like, you know what? What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
So I just became grateful for that and everything in my life. And I think, I think it's gotten to me. I don't think I'd be where I am now. This show, Big Shot, when you see it, I think there's enough of what you would like about me, but it's a very different character. I don't. Right, Giannis?
Absolutely. And that article, I think, really nailed it. And you're welcome. I had that article written. I worked through my publicist to get that done. That was my little thank you to you for doing this show. I said, you know what? Let me contact a few of my contacts. And we're going to do a flattering article in the LA Times for my boy, John Stamos.
You Greeks do stick together.
The Greeks watch each other's back. And the article, what I loved was he coined the term Stamos-sance. Like, I'm saying it wrong, but a renaissance, but with your Stamos-sance, it was like a Stamos-sance. So saying that he's experiencing a Stamos-sance, like a renaissance, a comeback. This is going to be his time. This show is a show that really showcases his acting ability outside of that character, obviously. And you've done other stuff. I mean, you've done Broadway. You've done that one show where you impregnated about 500 women. I think it was special. That was the most realistic. That was the most true to your real life. That was more autobiographical than anything. It was an episode of Special Victims Unit where you had impregnated about 100 women, and they got you in the room at the end, and they were all there, and you didn't care because underneath it all, Johnny Stamos.
Yeah. What?
I'm remembering what podcast, and I was about to say you hit it and quit it, but that's not
you probably
not the right podcast for that.
You probably didn't see that one, Olivia. I played this. What do they call him? Like a serial abuser or something. He had like he said, I had a couple hundred kids in the States alone. And they said, well, you didn't check out Europe. He was so egotistical. He wanted to spread his progeny, and I had money and I was taking care of the families, but I wasn't there for these kids, and then. So that's what he's talking about, and I don't appreciate that, Yannis.
Hey, speaking of which, though, in real life, you have a little boy, Billy. Is he, 2?
He's 3.
3 years old. Oh my gosh. What's being a father of a 3-year-old like?
Do you have kids?
No.
Olivia, how did you? We'll go back to the dad, but I want to ask you a few questions because Yanni's, is taking too much of this time here. How did you start? You're a savant with sports knowledge and all that stuff, right? I've been told.
Well, it sounds like my publicist maybe talked with your publicist, but my publicist didn't have the LA Times number, so that's as far as that one got. Yeah, started in sports. Grew up in sports family, right? And then this opportunity presented itself. I thought, well, everyone's got a podcast. I don't need one. Yeah. But then they said, well, John Stamos may come on one day. And I said, okay, yeah, let's do it.
That's a good reason. And she's funny. You don't need him, by the way.
No, you're our first non-sports guest, which I'm really excited about. We've had a lot of athletes on here.
I play one on TV. Right? Yeah. But you're very good. I watched a couple of things with people, and you're fantastic. Do you want to be like your father, an announcer? Do you want to be a journalist? Do you want to? What's the goal?
Yeah, that's very nice of you to say. Thank you. I think just growing up, with a dad in it, taking me to games all the time. I grew up at a football field. I grew up on a basketball court. And like you, we have this in common. I don't have an athletic bone in my body, but I thought I want to be around it. I want to be in the front row. So I'm going to learn how to talk about it.
Why did you want to be around it? You liked it?
Yeah. I think it's probably the way you feel, when that red light on the camera comes on.
Yeah.
I have that too as a sideline reporter. So when I'm on the field and I get my first, 30 seconds and that red light on the camera comes on, that's when I feel alive. Do you feel like that?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you always wanted to do it. And then is your dad proud of you?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And my friend said that your dad does, like you just said, basketball, football, like how versatile, right? Most guys do one sport.
Yeah. My dad does football and basketball. So I do football, basketball. I do some tennis. I'm kind of a sellout. I'll do whatever pays. It's kind of like my Greek yogurt commercial equivalent. It's just really whatever's there.
Did you write jokes for her?
Yeah, that was coming up next. Do you have a baby camera in my studio?
That was good.
Yeah.
Are we going to have children? You and the basketball guy?
Yes, me and the basketball guy will have children. He's playing all over the world, though. Last year he was in Turkey. The year before he was in Russia.
Whoa.
Turkey around the Greeks.
Whoa. Yeah, no.
Giannis, let's go. We'll go find
that's it. Interview over. That is, the beef between the Turks and Greece, it's worse than East and West Coast hip hop. I tell you, it's tough.
I didn't realize that until we were in Turkey and we went to Antalya, which is right across from Mykonos. And we were saying to our tour guide, we said, oh, it's so beautiful. We honeymooned in Mykonos right over there. And he goes, no, that is Turkish island.
Mykonos is not Turkish, but
I think they think it might be.
They think it might be. Yeah, they call Greek coffee Turkish coffee. Turks call Greek coffee Turkish. It's very difficult. Yeah,
I honeymooned on Mykonos, but not this marriage, but the
last one.
Okay. And it's sort of a Giannis. You're there all the time. It's a sort of a gay. Nothing wrong with it, but it's dominated by, and I'll never forget, we were pulling into with the boat, and it was our honeymoon. It was so sweet, and I'm getting close, and I see these naked people jumping off a rock. I said, oh, this is going to be an interesting honeymoon. And as we got closer and closer, it's all dudes, all but guys. I'm like, what is this? Oh, it's a very gay island. Oh, okay, well.
Oh, I bet they're excited to see you.
Yeah. It was,
Stamos is here.
Stamos Dobolos, take off the pants, come jump with us.
It's definitely Greeks. Fire Island. It's definitely it's Fire Island for Greece for sure.
But it was great. It's beautiful there. So you guys went there. How long ago? When did you get married?
3 years.
Okay. And kids are in the future. Oh, but he's traveling around.
Yeah, and I'm working, he's working. We're kind of loving life. We're in that stage, and you're late to fatherhood, so you probably can appreciate this. We enjoy our time.
Yeah.
I'm too selfish with it.
Yeah, I had too much time, too much enjoyment. It was time to.
But now you have this precious gift of Billy, and are you just running all over the place?
Yes, he has a lot of energy, and I'm not even making a joke here. I'm heartbroken because I think he's going to be an athlete.
I thought you said I think he's gay. I was going to go.
I don't care about that.
Yeah.
No. He throws the ball. He does the stuff, and I'm like, what am I going to do? I could grounders I could catch maybe, but I didn't want balls flying at my face. No jokes.
You already did that in Mykonos.
Right there you go. Okay. Buddy, you don't need him.
She's good. She is good.
So yeah, my dad played sports, and he was an athlete, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the gymnastic team, and he was the football, and he really wanted me to, play sports, and I couldn't. He was embarrassed, but I tried, but I really wanted, and so later on in life, he was played a lot of golf, and I wanted to spend time with my dad. I said, I gotta learn to do something. I took lessons because I loved my dad. He was my hero, and I took lessons, and I wanted to be around him, and so I said, I'm ready, Dad. So we went out, and it was like, I think if you were over 90 or 100, you got in free that day because it was a lot of older women mainly, and I got up and I put the ball, and I'm thinking about locking my wrist, and I'm doing the whole thing, and I hit it, and I sliced the ball, and it flies by this 90-year-old woman's temple by like a thin quarter of an inch, and I could have killed her. And my dad said, put the clubs down, let's go home now. And then it was terrible, and I was like, oh my God, I would have been like, hey, there's John Stamos. Didn't he kill a woman on a golf course? Yeah.
When you hit a 96-year-old woman with a golf ball, it's not just you that killed her. It's a little bit of both.
Well,
a little bit.
No, I think that would have just been you.
My dad.
She's out golfing. She's doing all right.
She's doing all right, but 96, it's a little, there's a lot of elements involved.
My dad also, when he would hit, and if it's do you guys play golf?
Yeah.
No.
So it pops it up, and he would always say something to make the ball, get down. And that day he hits it. He goes, "Sit down, bitch! Sit down!" The women and the old ladies. Very passionate about his sports. We would have his best friend was a UCLA guy, and my dad was an SC guy. And boy, they would fight. The best friends fight like hell. That's maybe why I got turned off to sports. But I just
sounds
someone
like
always
it.
has to lose. I don't like that.
But you did. You were a natural musician. Was that something that came natural to you? And I mean, talk about living your dream. Favorite group growing up, Beach Boys, and now you're on tour with the Beach Boys.
So cool.
Yeah, it's the greatest thing. Next to my wife and my kid, it's the greatest thing in my life. I mean, it's the highlight. Yeah, I grew up idolizing the Beach Boys. Who's your favorite group, Olivia?
Does Drake count as a group?
Sure.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I hate this question because he just
doesn't count as a person because he's Canadian. So you gotta take that away.
My favorite music is like 1920s, 30s, 40s jazz. Yeah. That's what I like.
Good for you. Sinatra, did you like the Rat Pack and all that?
Yeah, and aren't you going to be hosting a podcast about his son?
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Well, but I wanted to tell you about the Beach Boys. Yeah, yes, it's been the highlight of my life. We're playing on I don't know when this airs, but we're doing the 4th of July in Fort Lauderdale, which it's going to be fun. It's a free concert on the beach, so I think they're expecting. The first time I played with the Beach Boys, well, the very first time they were playing in San Diego at the Padres Stadium, right? You guys know that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on General Hospital at the time, and my best friend is playing guitar with them, and I'm watching the show, and I couldn't believe that I was back, on the field and everything. And the show ends, and I go before the encore, and I go backstage, and all these girls and cheerleaders are screaming, and they chase me into the dressing room. I was 19. And Mike Love, the lead singer, turns to my friend and says, "Who's that?" It's my friend John Stamos. He's on the show General Hospital. And Mike Love says, "Do girls always follow him around and scream?" And he said, "Yeah." He goes, "Get him on stage." And that was it. Man. And so I played an encore that Barbara ran, and then I just continued on. And the next big one was in Washington, D.C. It was in '84. And there was 1 million people when they used to do these concerts, and Jimmy Page played guitar. It's just been, I'm never going to write a book, but if I did, it would be like, if you would have told me when I was a kid that I'd be on a podcast with Olivia and a Greek, I'd be like, no.
I never would have believed it.
Did the girls on the show, did the girls on Big Shot, did they know, because they're too young to know Full House? So no,
I think they know.
Or did they know it from reruns, or how
the
familiar?
Show has been, there's a new Full House fan born like every 4 years, right? I mean, Olivia, you probably didn't see it when it was originally on.
No, like late 90s is when I caught on.
Yeah, that was probably reruns then too.
Yeah.
Yanyas, what are you, 72 this month, 71?
72. Like I said, olive oil. It keeps us looking young. That, and like you said, adrenochrome.
The girls on the show don't. They acted like they weren't that. It wasn't that big a deal. But as the.
Are you sure they were acting? Maybe they didn't know.
No. He's funny too.
They could have been going, is that Giannis Pappas?
I mean, you know what's crazy though, John, is like, I think for Full House fans who then grew up in the 90s, early 2000s, like there was no one more famous in the world than Mary-Kate and Ashley. Like we dressed like them, looked like them, bought everything they made, wore everything. These girls, like Mary-Kate and Ashley to them is no one to kids like 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
Right. I guess so. Yeah. But look at how well they've done. I like, we make jokes, but who knew that they would be this empire? They own.
Yeah.
You in New York? Where are you at, Giannis?
I'm in New York. Yeah.
They own New York.
They own this building. Yeah. They own this building.
They do well there. The girls. Yeah. One of the things, if you watch the show, if you would have done your homework, Olivia, you would see that I don't. It takes a while to connect.
She asked me if we were interviewing Rob Lowe. So, in her defense, she just thought it was the wrong heartthrob. I apologize.
All right, well, good. He does his own makeup, I hear. And we're friends.
Yeah.
No, we are. So I was going to say that. So the girls and I didn't have. It was written that I'm a real asshole in the beginning of this thing, and sort of towards the end too. I mean, he's a very stubborn guy who has a specific way of doing things, and it's worked for him, but. It's not working anymore, clearly. I mean, this third episode, my daughter comes to live with me, and I've been, not the greatest. I've been an absent because I said I was my career. I had to. This guy was a really, really great coach, and that was tough too because I really wanted to know, like, well, what makes not just a coach but a legend, So
yeah.
John Wooden, we studied a lot, and these guys, but we weren't connecting as characters, so I didn't even know the girls' names until the second or third episode. I even know most of them now, but. That was really hard for me because I do like to talk to people and I love to make the crew and like to laugh and stuff. But I was really, you'll see it's a different thing.
Did you gain an appreciation for basketball at all? Going through the experience of hanging out with Jerry West, studying Wooden? No, not at all.
I mean, I'm not being a jackass. I've always respected athletes, even more so now. That is like one thing. Clearly, remarkable, especially these pros, right? And your husband, whatever. Is he a good player?
Sam Dekker, he's great. Yeah. They were great. They almost won a national championship. I was rooting for him.
Yeah. And, he played for your Clippers for a year, if that's kind of your LA team. Mm-hmm.
Where do you live? Where are you at now?
We spent our summers in his hometown, Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
It's a funny name. That's why you're funny, because
Sheboygan.
I do have a respect for them, and I used to go. I went a couple times. I would go to the Lakers games with Gary Marshall. Took me a few times.
Okay.
And and my friend says that they saw me sitting on the floor. They were so pissed off because not only is it a waste on me, but and I'm on camera. I'm like talking and ordering food.
Yeah.
He said even a kid. They'd be happy if it was a kid because he could grow up to be a sports fan, but they knew that I was never going to be. And all the people listening are sports people, right? So they hate me.
Yeah.
No, but I'm telling you, when you watch this show, you do a great job acting like you are that coach with this winning pedigree.
Yeah.
You're a good actor, John. I'm gonna be honest.
Maybe your toughest role yet. Now, after talking to you, this sounds like this was quite the challenge.
Really
yeah,
was.
I mean, impregnating the hundreds of women. That was like I said, that was a piece of cake.
I should show her a scene from this show.
Yeah, can we?
I promise you, I am going to be watching it. I was actually going to ask, kind of in that vein, playing Uncle Jesse, back to Full House. I'm kidding.
I will talk about the new show a lot. Go ahead.
I just always kind of wondered, because you off the show always kind of seemed like, and maybe I just see you as Uncle Jesse, but was that art imitating life or life imitating art at any point? Like, did you almost kind of merge with Uncle Jesse?
Well, yeah, a little bit. I mean, that's a good question. And yeah, I wasn't, the creator was more of an Elvis fan than I was.
Oh.
But I liked it. The character was originally named Adam or something, and I came up with Jesse because that was Elvis's twin brother who died at birth. And so
I never knew that story. Wow.
I didn't know that.
but I'm not. Yes, I am. Yeah, it kind of happened that way. But better is that the new show. I really starting. At first, I thought I got nothing in common with this guy. You know, and I found that I do have more and more. When he makes these, you know, this first episode, and again, it's like, how many locker room speeches have you seen? And I watched every single one of them. And the one that was written wasn't it. And we did this table reading, and David Kelly turns and says, I'm going to rewrite this thing. I think he talks like that. And he wrote this speech that is so, and it's about doing your best, and, you know, and getting up in the morning, and can you look in the mirror and say, I did my very fucking best, you know? That's what it's about. And it's a really emotional. So those kind of things I thought, oh, I got this. Yes, I do my best every day. I don't think I didn't, and it really rings with me all the time. By the end of the episode, the last show, he talks about being a father, and again, it's a very strained relationship with his daughter, and he's trying to learn, he's trying to be better, and he takes one step forward, 2 steps back. He doesn't know how to do it. And at the end, he says, I think I figured it out. I used to think it was about discipline, and Yannis will get this. I used to think it was about discipline, but it is, but not. I used to think it's about, you know, spending time and one-on-one connection. It is, but that's not. And he comes to the point, he says, it's about sacrifice. It's about you know, passing on your own needs and your own desires for the betterment of your child. And at the end of the day, it's a lifetime commitment, which you'll see at some point, Olivia, if the guy ever gets home from basketball practice. It's a lifetime commitment, and you have to. And he said, at the end of the day, you don't win a trophy, or you don't get a ring or a banner. But what you do get, if you do it right, is you get a better. If you do it right, you get a better, more loving, kinder, smarter version of yourself to put out there. So I thought that was very sweet.
The coach lives.
That is incredible. And that is going to suck everyone in and make them want to watch this show. The show is called Big Shot. I don't think we've said it enough. It airs on Disney Plus. It is out now. Everyone should go watch it. John, we have taken up so much of your time, but if you've got a couple more minutes, I'd love to do a quick hit question lightning round.
Okay, but you know what? I wanted to talk about the podcast really fast.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I heard the first episode. It's incredible. He's got actually a podcast series coming up with the guy who actually successfully kidnapped Frank Sinatra Jr., which is one of the craziest stories in American history. Yeah. And he interviews the guy who actually pulled it off. So tell us a little bit about that.
Did you hear my phone ringing? That was him calling me. In 1960, it was really. In 1960, this guy Barry Keenan was. We do a beautiful job of showing him why he did it. I mean, by the end of the first episode, I think Yannis will attest to this. You realize this guy was at his rock bottom. I mean, he grew up with a mother who was mentally ill, and he became, you know, he was eventually, you know, deemed mentally ill. Not too crazy, but just not straight. He had alcohol and drug issues. He lost all his. He was a very smart guy. Lost all his money, and he needed $240,000 to get his life back together, and his parents and his thing. And he was on a bluff overlooking Catalina Island in Balboa Island, and God's voice came over the radio and said, "Kidnap somebody, and it can't be a kid, it can't be a woman." And he was going to do Bob Hope's son, but he thought, well, that's too patriotic. I'm going to go for Sinatra Jr. And it's the craziest, most complicated. It's like Coen Brothers meets the Marx Brothers. It's fascinating. He ended up pulling it off, and Sinatra tried to kill him for 50 years. I mean, the story is outrageous, and I've never, no offense, but you throw a stick out the window, I'll hit 6 people with a podcast, like you said. But this is a little different. It's just me narrating the story of this guy, and it's on Wondery. It comes out July 27th, I believe.
Oh, I cannot wait for that. That story will suck me in. And Wondery does such a good job.
They're good. You know what's cool about it is I brought it. I've been working on the story and different versions of it for television, but the podcast came up during COVID, and it was around Black Lives Matter, and I was like, the thing that's good about this is that it has all the juicy, you know, twists and turns that you love about true crime, minus the serial killers, blood, you know, gore. It's funny. Nobody gets hurt, but nobody gets out alive.
What's it called?
The Grand Scheme, Snatching Sinatra. The Grand Scheme, Snatching Sinatra. I don't talk like that.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're ready. You're ready.
I don't. I was very surprised at how my voice sounds because it's very different than acting. I slowed down and I really tried to narrate it, and sometimes I sound like Casey Kasem.
No, it's. I heard the first episode, and I hate to compliment you again because you already have too much going on that's successful. But your voice is great. It's silky, it's smooth, and you build anticipation. And for you, I'm telling you, if I was John Stamos, and the day comes in the very far future where you have to die, it's going to be very difficult for you to even go to heaven because it's a downgrade for you.
Wow. What a weird compliment.
I mean, can you imagine? I'm just saying, like, John Stamos gets to the pearly gates. He's going to be like, you know what? Like,
I'm good.
Can I go back? Is there any way I can go back to being John Stamos? Because it was a lot better than the bullshit you got going on up here. You're walking around with a fiddle. You're going to carry me on a beach. Do you understand? I played with the Beach Boys.
All kidding aside, my life has been just that great, and I'm so being 57 now, I can really have perspective. I've been sober quite a while now. That had a lot to do with me having a beautiful child and a wife. And
congratulations.
Gratitude, and it's taken me a long time. But you're right, Giannis. Also, what was I going to say? You're really talented, Giannis. I don't want to joke about you, but he did this. I didn't know. Like I said, did I DM you or something?
I mean, I thought we met on Grindr initially.
Right. But I mean, after that.
After that, right.
And then I found out he'd been doing jokes about me. And he said he was my brother or something on there, and it was very serendipitous. But you're really talented.
People would say that I look like you if you got into an accident and had your face reconstructed. Oh. I look like your lighting stand-in. I look like the guy who comes in to make sure the lighting's right, and then they're like, "Okay, get out of here," because I got the dark hair, I got the features, and then the real thing comes in.
I bet your lighting stand-in is quite a looker as well.
Probably,
I would love to see your stand-in.
It's Rob Lowe. We were talking about him earlier. Okay. If Rob's listening, Giannis, look at that bone structure. And I can't, say too much about Olivia because the husband's listening.
Yeah, he's a big kid he'll put a hurting on both of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I tried, and I saw that I was flipping through Giannis' stuff early when we met, and it said something about John Stamos. I was like, what the hell? And I was playing it for like my sisters, my publicists, and some of the stuff he was saying was pretty. What were some of those jokes on there?
Yeah, well, I said, if Stamos and Clooney had a stare off, it would like they'd have a stare off to see who got hard first. I apologize. I know this is a G cup, but I mean that's what would happen, and I think Stamos would win. I think he would win. Him versus Clooney, they'd stare. Whoever got hard first loses.
Yeah, Clooney. I've seen that. This has happened.
Yeah.
He did say being famous was awesome. Now I'm starting to think stuff like this does happen.
Well, that didn't. Well, I'm grateful. And Olivia, I wish you the best with this podcast. I think it's really good. You guys are good together if I would shut up.
We brought you on for you to talk.
I'm having a good time with Giannis as well. There's something just about you Greek men. You're just full of life, It's hard to replicate.
Well, and also we can take, in all seriousness, we can take the ribbing. It's funny. It's fun that you're jabbing at us. You haven't made fun of him enough yet, but you can.
We still have 2 more segments.
Yeah, we got. Yeah, this is the middle of the show right now.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
What was I going to say to you guys? Well, anyway,
you're going to give everyone your Disney Plus password so they can watch Big Shot on Disney Plus. Like, why don't you just give? How great would that be if you just gave everyone your password, and we all logged into Disney Plus on Stamos' username and password?
You want to know it?
I have it already.
Giannis,
I have your social security number.
Giannis, ISADICK. I have some of those dirty passwords. Dirty, but I have some. It's always telling you to change your password, and I came up with one recently that is kind of in that vein, and I had to give it to my publicist to put something up recently, and it was embarrassing.
Well, Big Shot is the show, right, Olivia? I mean, that's it. We did it.
Oh, she's got it. She's got lightning things to do.
Just real quick, I've just got a couple I want to do, and Giannis has some as well.
I do.
We're gonna just switch off, and then we're gonna let you get out of here. My first one: best show you've ever had a cameo in. That includes Friends, Glee, You. What's the best show you've had a cameo in?
That's a good question. Like best show that I liked or doing,
like best experience.
Right. Wasn't Glee, although it was fun. I was on the second season. And I remember they were just starting to get really. They were great kids, but they were worked pretty hard, and they went through a lot of stuff. And they had just started. And I came to the thing, and I was in my trailer, and they all came around to say hi, and all of them. I said, "I'm gonna give you guys one piece of advice: don't fuck each other."
That's not what happened.
It's not. I'm trying to think. I liked that. Friends was not. I tell you, here's the true story. This is supposed to be lightning round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all right. It's more like a low thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Friends that was good.
That's a good one. She's had about 3 or 4 absolute zingers.
Yeah, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Friends was interesting because I was at a sort of a lower point in my career. Even more, mentally, I just didn't have a lot of confidence in myself. And my ex-wife at the time was becoming a big star, and I was, people were kind of, get out of the way, John. Let me see her. And so,
wow.
and she was on, I guess, and then they said, "Hey, you want to do something on here?" Like throwing me a bone or something. I go, okay. And I can't remember. I played they wanted my sperm or something, like most Greeks. They were interviewing me for a sperm sample or something, right? Did you see it, Olivia?
No.
Oh, looked like she was trying to see it though.
Right. The husband would let her. But anyway, the thing is, so I came in the door and we were rehearsed for a day or so, and they said, "Okay, John," and it was on the same stage that we shot Full House. And so you come in through the door and hold for a second because the audience is going to go crazy, and and then you would continue. I said, "I know." Anyway.
Yeah.
Friday night comes, boy, everybody's pumped, and I walk through the door, crickets. I mean,
oh no.
Nothing. And I'm looking like this, and Matthew Perry's like, and I just keep going. And that was it. And I was like, and then we didn't do it again. And then, that was it. I think, in my defense, I don't think they were expected, the audience. I mean, it was a surprise, but they made such a big deal. Hide them behind here and don't thing. And when you walk in,
that's so cringy. And I'm shocked. To be fair, I'm not a Friends fan anyway. So who cares about them? They didn't know what they were doing. Okay,
quick question. I got you. If you had to be married to one of these two for the rest of your life, would it be Bob Saget or Dave Coulier?
Ooh, that's cool. That's interesting.
Which one?
I would think that my son comes in here. You asked about the kid. He likes to put. I'm not making this up, by the way. This is an expensive guitar. He likes to put shit in my guitar.
Oh my God, there's going to be like a dinosaur or something in there.
Yeah.
I hope it's just that. There's a pen. What is this? Pen. Dang it. What is this?
For those who are just listening, John Stamos has now proceeded to lift his guitar over his head and shake it vigorously, waiting for his son's toy to fall out.
Yeah, but I think it's Nemo in there.
I'm not.
What's going on?
Yeah.
The light. Wait a minute. There's a. Ow. You can't ground him at 3, right? You can't.
Did you hide your weed in there?
No. Don't do. I impress upon him to try your best. Like, I can't do it. I said, try again. And he always says, my daddy tells me, first you don't succeed, try again. My wife just told me this today. He was at the little friend's house playing, they were having soccer or something, and he went up and kissed this little boy, tried to kiss him, and the friend said, get. And he kept going at him. He said, my daddy tells me if I don't succeed, I got to try again.
No.
Kate was like, you don't have to kiss the boys. Okay, what other fascinating lightning round questions do you have?
Well, you definitely didn't answer that one.
Yeah, and then I want to know, my brother's gay. Will you marry him so I can hang out with you more?
Yes.
I like that, yeah.
There you go.
You have how many? You have 3 brothers, right?
I got 2 brothers, one of which is a big fan of you and he's gay. And I would like, if I can convince you to marry him, then we can hang out all the time.
We hang out too much as is.
We do, yeah.
We're like schoolgirls. We text, we FaceTime sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got one more lightning round question, but you've got to answer this one because you're really not answering any of them.
Because Bob Saget or Dave Coulier. What kind of question is that?
Saget.
Yeah.
Saget, yeah. No,
yeah.
No, I think Dave. Dave would do the voices, and Saget would just talk me to death. So I think Dave.
And he's wild, right? He's as wild as people say.
Yeah, Saget's you go see Saget live, you can't believe that
Danny Tanner has such a potty mouth.
That Danny Tanner.
But one of the great, both of them. But Bob is really a great, good person. I love it.
Okay. You have to have dinner with Mary Kate or Ashley.
Uh-huh.
Who's a better dinner date?
Oh, well, last time I saw them, they were 13 or something, so I don't really know. But
you haven't seen them since?
No, I have. I mean, not last 15 years or so, but who would I don't know. That's a
okay.
You guys are doing so well with this podcast. Like, we don't need these questions.
You know what's funny? I think fans of TV shows, long-running TV shows, in our heads, you guys like get together for holidays. You have a text thread, all this stuff. That doesn't happen, does it?
Yes, it does. We do.
It does?
I mean, the twins just didn't really, other than the twins, we're all very, very, we have a text chain going right now. I have a text chain with them. I have a text chain with the Big Shot girls. That's called TCKS, which is a thing that we set on there to take care, keep safe. I have the ER gang on here.
Oh, wow.
The girl who plays my daughter just texted me and said, "Hey, guess where I am?" And then she sent a picture of the house.
No way.
And she says that, "Hey, the Full House house." And
well, John, me and you text a lot. Just be careful that you don't text her what you're texting me at any point, because our text is a little more grown up than your text with those children.
Yeah, I just told her I'm not home.
Yeah.
Maybe she's trying to find me there. I don't know. They're delightful girls. You know, to give you something on that is that it was interesting because one would play. There was always, I think it was Mary Kate was a little more emotional. Would do the sort of the heart tugging scenes where you'd hear the string.
Yeah.
And Ashley was funnier. I think that was how it went.
Oh, that's interesting. But you could also have that totally mixed up, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we learned nothing there.
Have you ever texted someone and it was the wrong person like that? Has that ever happened to you? Where you text someone and it's somebody that you really didn't want to see what you just texted and it was meant for somebody else?
Yes, my wife. How do I get this out? Have you? I know you got a joke.
Oh yeah, it's happened to me. It's happened to me a bunch of times. Yeah.
What happened?
Oh God, I'm trying to think of a good one.
Olivia.
I've done ones where like this guy's a real asshole, and it was to the guy.
Yeah, I've done that with girlfriends.
Yeah,
I have never done it, but someone did it to me.
Oh,
I was like, I was working with him. It was a thing, and he said, "Hey," he called me a pain in the ass or something, and I was just digging at a script. I didn't like it, and we kept trying to get it right.
Yeah.
Olivia, who would you rather have dinner with? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or I don't know. I'm trying to think of.
You're trying to think of another sports person. You can't think of one.
Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth.
Okay.
Historic legend. Yeah. Although it's funny,
yeah.
I think if Babe Ruth were to play today, and this is such a tangent, but when you look back at pictures of Babe Ruth playing, he was like an overweight, kind of rusty, crusty man. Like he wasn't.
You could do the TV movie about him, Giannis. You could play him.
Yeah, I could play him right now. I certainly can. Yeah, I could play him. John Goodman did a good job playing him. Those pictures of Babe Ruth are later in his career. If you look to his earlier years, he was actually kind of like jacked. He was about 6'1", 6'1", right, which was big for that time. And he just had that natural strength. He just had that.
And two-way player. I mean, yeah.
Pitcher, the whole thing. And the kid put up some Hall of Fame numbers with the ladies. He put up some Stamos. He put up some
Stamos numbers.
Stamos-esque. It was Stamo-esque. Stamo-esque. Not quite Stamos level, but he put up some songs. Yeah.
Stamos songs. Who would you rather have dinner with, Olivia? What are those twins' names? There's twin basketball players. I know one of them. They live in Florida. Two twins basketball.
Marcus Morris, and
yeah, the Morris brothers.
No, gosh darn, they collect Disney stuff. That's why I know one of them. They live in Florida. People at home. Who am I trying to think of?
Basketball twins.
I don't know.
I have to. If the sports people listening.
Oh, is it the Lopez brothers?
Yes.
Okay, Brooke or Robin Lopez.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and Brooke plays for the Bucks, which brings us back to, if you really want to make your 3-year-old son happy, if he's really getting into sports, as a Greek, you should get him a little Giannis Antetokounmpo jersey. That's like the most famous basketball player, for sure the most famous Greek basketball player.
Yeah.
Okay, I will do that.
Yeah.
And again, I don't mean to come off disrespectful towards sports. I admire everybody who plays them, who announces them, who does them. It's just that I'm starting to like it, I guess. I have a basketball court here at my house, and I guess I don't know. I had to shoot I had to shoot at the last episode. I had to make a couple of 3 free throws or something.
Did you?
Like that form looked good. The passes looked good. How long did you work on that? So it seems like you were a guy who knew how to play basketball in those scenes, which is that's a testament to your acting ability, John.
Mm-hmm.
I really did work hard on it all because it was important to be respectful there.
And I thought, no,
Trying to find a scene of that. I thought that I actually, to be honest with you, so it was a scene it's the last episode, and I have to make a few of those shots, and look at you here, and it's like you're like you're taking a cookie out of the cookie jar, right?
Yeah.
So, you have to
Gooseneck.
Yeah, right. And but they had this big wide shot of the gym, and the camera was way back, and I had to make, and I'm up there, and I do my lineup thing, and it goes in. Now I'm supposed to be like pensive, and I'm thinking about each girl as I throw it, but meanwhile I'm turning. Did you guys get that? I made it. Did you guys get it? Like a ventriloquist. Boom. Second one goes in. My hand to God. The people are freaking out. I was like, oh my God, we're rolling camera, right? I don't know how it happened, but I guess I'm a under pressure guy.
And this is in a game in the show that the coach had to make a shot?
It's the end of there's 2 times I had to play. One was this beautiful scene where I think it's in the second episode where there's a girl who I was talking about my daughter, and she says, I bet she misses you. And I said, yeah. And she said, I'd do anything to be, see my dad again. I said, oh, is he not around? And she said, no. She walks out, and I looked at her thing on the computer, her background, and it said her father was deceased. And I said, hey, Destiny. I said, you want to play a game of horse? And it's this beautiful scene, the 2 of us just like playing, and I said, I'll bet you $1 million. And she says, and she beats me in the final thing. It's really sweet.
Well, listen, there's been a lot of nonsense said during this interview. This has gone every which way, but I think on a sentimental moment like that, that's a pretty good place to wrap.
If that's what you call an ending.
The Stamos is what he called it in the LA Times article, is upon us.
I want to show you.
This is your time right now. I mean, look, I don't want to give you a pep talk. You're about to blow up. You're an up and coming actor. You got a lot of talent, kid. This is going to go good for you. Nobody knows who you are, but one day they will.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Does this work? Can you see anything?
Oh, we found it.
But it's not working. You can't show it over Zoom.
No, it is. It really, truly is a fantastic show, and it's crazy that the show's getting so much attention, considering you're playing a basketball coach, and it's something you knew nothing about before. It shows your acting talent. I think that LA Times article is correct, man. You're a very talented dude, and I'm just honored to be friends with you, and I hope your career takes off, because to date, I mean, it's been nothing. Nobody knows who you are. No women know who you are. You're unrecognizable. You could walk down the street and nobody would know.
I think this podcast is going to do it for me. I think this is the one.
This is it.
Olivia,
this is like the new Tonight Show.
This is. Thanks for having me. Thanks for hiring my friend. I think the audience is going to love him. He's wickedly smart. I know he doesn't come off that way right now, but he knows a lot about a lot of things, and I know he knows a lot about sports, so I wish you guys the best. I'm going to be tuning in to hear both of you every single time you're on.
Well, thank you so much. You were the most colorful and entertaining guest we've had yet, and I mean that.
Well, really?
Yeah. This was a ton of fun.
Okay, well, thank you. You're great. I wish you all the best. Say hi to your dad and your husband.
Thank you.
Just say hi to your dad with a husband.
Yeah.
But listen, I really would love it if you guys just watch the first episode. If you don't like it.
No, it really is a great show.
Yeah.
And then tell Giannis, and he'll text me,
Yeah.
Lisa Leslie liked that I played basketball.
Oh, that's very cool.
Are we over or are we still going?
We don't have anything left to say.
We're over.
Yeah.
My lightning round, I had so many more. But
Go ahead. I have time.
No.
Do you want to? Go ahead. I'll do it.
No, I'm kidding. We got so much.
And Giannis,
our editor is probably very stressed.